They don't have to hide information from us anymore. They just anticipate that you're not going to take the time to read it. Especially in a world that has the capacity to only read a tweet, a meme, or a headline. What's going on, everybody? Brandon Blox from Piranha presenting Unsolicited Monologue. I want to thank you for clicking on the video and giving me a listen because I appreciate you being here. If this is your first time, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. But either way, I'm glad that you're here. And if you like the content, please like, share, and subscribe. And at any time, leave a comment. But let's get started with what I want to talk about today. Actually, I want to start it out with a question. What are you reading? What do you plan on reading? I would like to preface this with I hope that you're not getting all your information and thoughts from YouTube videos, TV, or social media. And not to say that those are bad. They essentially are just tools. I mean, obviously, I want you here and sharing this experience and listening to me, but within moderation. The fortification of your mind comes from reading, writing, and thinking. I'd like to share a quote by Oscar Wilde. If you do not write well, you cannot think well. If you cannot think well, others will do the thinking for you. You and your loved ones, you do not want somebody to do the thinking for you. It's okay to get ideas from others, but you have a beautiful mind that needs to be watered and fed correctly. And it goes without saying, to be a better thinker, you need to be a better writer. You need to develop a vocabulary that helps you articulate what you want to say and keeps your message interesting. There are two simple ways to expand your vocabulary. Number one is through conversation, which when you're conversing, I encourage you, do not be ashamed and ask what a word means if you're unsure. Or in the very least, have a Google search ready. Me personally, I stay looking up definitions of words. I'm comfortable asking somebody like, hey, what does that mean? They may even be words that I already know. I just want to make sure that I'm using them in the correct context. And, sometimes it just helps to get synonyms to keep it a bit more interesting. The second way to expand your vocabulary is through reading. And really the biggest difficulty here that you're going to find is you may mispronounce words as you're only seeing them and you're not hearing them. But once again, I encourage you, do not be ashamed, because if you're corrected, that just means somebody wants you to pronounce it correctly. There are true lovers of words that know a lot more than what we do, and that's okay. We can find teachers everywhere. We can be wrong. The true value is gaining the ability to express what's on your mind. So once again, I want to ask you, what are you reading? What do you plan on reading? And I don't mean what are you reading for fun, although any reading is better than no reading. What I'm interested in is, what self-development books are you reading? What books are you reading that will change your perspective, give you a new idea? I know it's hard to find time, especially with so many things demanding your attention, but let's be realistic and honest here, right? You can find time, especially if you cut out 30 minutes of your phone time or TV time. You're going to find that you have a brief period to read. If you're an iPhone user, you get those updates at the end of the week saying your average screen time. I know we ignore it, but I guarantee that data captures a more accurate story than we care to admit. And if you're a parent, I get it. My wife, she gets mom to death every single day. And I know the parents are thinking, well, how can we read when we can't find time? Well, here are some options, right? You can either read when children are asleep, either early morning or after bedtime, which allows you to process and think about what you're reading. But another option, which is a bit more impactful, is setting time aside before or after dinner and everybody reads. The kids read their books, you read yours, and as I said before, this is just going to have the most impact. Because yes, we tell our kids they have to read for school, it's a requirement, otherwise they're not going to pass, right? But people, and especially children, they learn through observation. You can set the example by showing them reading isn't a punishment. I know people tend to enjoy audiobooks or say that they use audiobooks in lieu of reading. Me personally, I think that's a good supplement, but it's not a replacement to reading. Reading is an exercise. It strengthens your mind. Reading has an entirely different effect than listening to someone talking. Once again, the objective is to write and think well. I know for space and convenience, everything can be put onto your electronic devices. There are cool apps such as Headway, which will emphasize and summarize helpful information. I checked that app out. It's definitely interesting. It brought my attention to a lot of books that I wouldn't have considered reading. However, I am a bibliophile. I love my books. I love the feel of them. I love collecting them and showing them off proudly. They tend to get this wear and tear over time. But more importantly, I enjoy the ability to highlight and make notes inside of them, and at any time being able to grab something off the shelf and paging through them to find a highlight that resonated with me at the time, or it's advice that I may have forgotten. This feeling can be absolutely magical, just pulling a random book, opening the pages, and just getting a special tidbit. Just to share, I'll pull some random books from my shelf and share a highlight that I randomly open up to. This is from Influencer, The Power to Change Anything. We need to interpret setbacks as guides and not breaks. Here's a random highlight from 48 Laws of Power. The world wants to assign you a role in life, and once you accept that role, you are doomed. Here's one from the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius. On the occasion of every act, ask thyself, how is this with respect to me? One more from this book, I happen to open up to like a different page. Loss is nothing more than change. Just some random stuff to just, think and contemplate on. But the point is, I can go through and find helpful information just by opening up any of these books to see these highlights. And obviously, I can read around the highlights to remember the context if I've forgotten. And often these books will beg me to read them again, as we should, right? Because, we get older, our experiences have changed us, and we become wiser, and we have a more mature understanding. I can't stress it enough that you're going to have such an advantage by reading often and reading good material, especially in a world that has the capacity to only read a tweet, a meme, or a headline. And don't get me wrong, I love myself a funny ass meme, but we need more substance than that. From just simply reading an article instead of listening to an opinion about it, you're going to be more informed. The information that you have is going to be more accurate. They don't have to hide information from us anymore. It's always out in the open. They just anticipate that you're not going to take the time to read it. Don't let somebody else do the thinking for you. Don't be at a disadvantage. Read, and read slowly. Read slowly to understand what you're reading. So let me ask you again. What are you reading? What do you plan on reading? But alright, you guys, I'm going to end it here. I want to thank you for listening. I hope I inspired you to dig into a great book. There's plenty of amazing authors out there, and who knows, maybe someday you'll be among them. I hope you tune in next week, but as always, be safe, take care. Hey guys, just want to remind you that the Kickstarter for the Crab Effect is in pre-launch. This is the card game that I have been working on. I created all the art, all the mechanics. I promise you it's different than anything that you've played, and I stand on that. Please go ahead, sign up, get notified. By doing so, you have the chance of getting the early bird price, which means you're going to get a discount, and you have a chance to get the Kickstarter exclusive, which won't be available at any other time. As always, you guys, I appreciate the support, and be safe and take care.